Taught in Hungary during the school year 2001-2002, and I had already been a teacher at Nixa for 5 years, and I just was anxious to travel and do something different. So I took a 1-year leave of absence and I moved to a town in northeastern Hungary called Nixa, and I taught English at 2 public high schools for that school year. Well, last summer I read a lot of books, and one of my favorite books that I read was called I Will Always Write Back. And this is a true story of 2 pen pals, one in Pennsylvania and her pen pal in Africa, who were just randomly matched up when they were in elementary school, and they maintained their correspondence through the years. And eventually, the girl in Pennsylvania, she and her family sponsored her pen pal in Africa, who was very poor but yet very intelligent, to come to the United States and actually go to college and graduate with several master's degrees. So as I was telling my students about this book, they all started raising their hands, and I realized that they all wanted pen pals too. Well, I'm still friends with some of my colleagues at the schools that I taught at in Hungary. And so I contacted one of them and asked if she would be interested in setting up one of her classes, who's quite fluent in English, with my students.
My pen pal lives in Hungary. She's 16, she has glasses, and her name is Petra. I like that we get to communicate with people that don't do the same things as us and have a different environment than we do, and the school districts are completely different.
My pen pal, she's 16 and her name is Nikki. She does have a sport that she really loves to play called Mediball. It's not a professional sport yet, but she does really love doing it. I really like it because it's a way to meet someone from a country that I've never been to or will probably never be to. It's always a fun experience to meet someone new, especially trying to get to know their culture as well, because it's quite different from where we live. I just like to say that it's a really cool experience, and I hope everyone one day has a chance to do this with someone.
St. Patrick's Day is celebrated every year on March 17th to celebrate the death of St. Patrick. The story of St. Patrick begins when he was kidnapped as a 16-year-old and taken to Ireland as a slave, and after 6 years as a slave, St. Patrick escaped to Britain. During his time in Britain, he dreamed of walking before the Irish once more. St. Patrick was deeply moved by the dream and eventually returned to Ireland. In his return, he baptized and converted many people to Christianity. He was a very humble man and thanked the Lord for choosing him to be the instrument to spread God's word. Once the Irish immigrated to the U.S., the celebrations of St. Patrick's Day only got bigger. The holiday has snowballed and is celebrated nationwide by Irish and non-Irish alike. The shamrock is a symbol of St. Patrick's Day because St. Patrick was claimed to have convinced a non-believer of the Holy Trinity using the shamrock as an illustration. Most people wear green on St. Patrick's Day because it is said that leprechauns will pinch anyone they see, but the color green can make people invisible to the leprechaun. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and look out for leprechauns.